All right, guys, so 3 months ago, I picked up the Thypoch Simera-C lenses, the 35mm to be exact. And I really wanted to put this lens to the test. So instead of doing a typical like unboxing video or a standalone review video with all of like the nerdy stuff, I decided to use this on 3 real world projects that I was paid for just to see how much I like the lens, and I came away blown away. So just before we even hop into this video, this is an amazing lens, and I'm just gonna let you guys know my experience and also share some of the footage that I've been able to capture, and just let you guys know who I believe this lens is for, and ultimately if I feel like it's worth picking up. So with that being said, let's hop right into the video. All right, I've been singing this tune for a few videos now, but we are literally on the way to 1,000. I'm so close. So if you like content like this and you like my vibe, you like this video, just make sure you like and subscribe, leave a comment. Again, I love this YouTube thing, so it means a lot to me, and let's get right into the video. All right, guys, so anybody that follows my channel and have seen some of my review videos, I am not big on like tech stuff and all the technical specs and specifications. I feel like there's been a lot of people talking about this lens, and that was what pretty much put this lens on my radar. So if you're looking for that kind of video, definitely go ahead and check out some of like the other videos that other people have done, just diving into more technical detail. I'm more about all of the real world experience, but just to let you guys know some of the technical specs of this and some of the things that makes this lens stand out is that of course it's extremely tiny. It's like literally like the fist of my hand, is extremely lightweight, and honestly it's a dream to rig out. So I'm a hybrid shooter. I feel like before you listen to anybody review, it's also important to know what kind of work they do. So I'm more of a hybrid shooter. I shoot documentary, some commercial, but when I say commercial, I mean like more creative, personalized work, working with smaller brands, not really high scale stuff. I also shoot weddings, events, and creative videos. And with that being said, I have a Sony FX6, but I also have a Sony FX30, so Sony A7 IV. It's important for me to be very versatile, and oftentimes, depending on the job, depending on the project, I'm using different kinds of rigs. And I feel like that's what really drew me to this lens, was I really loved how lightweight this was. This will not be my only cinema lens, but I thought that this would be something very important to add to my kit. Just whenever I want to be nimble, or I want to hook my FX6 or my Sony FX30 onto a rig, it's very easy to do with a lens this light. And then also I love to travel, but I wanted something cinematic. I wanted something that wasn't so clinical, and what this lens provides is a perfect balance. Like, this lens has a lot of character, character in the flares, character especially when it's completely shot wide open. You can get amazing shots. And what character basically means is just imperfections. The lens has imperfections, but in the right way. But also at the same time, it is still clinical. It's a lens that I can use to shoot commercials or some corporate stuff and not feel like I'm shooting on like a vintage lens and it's not sharp enough. It has a lot, it retains a lot of information and has a lot of detail, especially when you stop down to around f4. This lens is very sharp. So I shot 3 projects in total. They consisted of a jazz documentary style interview video. It was pretty much of a jazz musician who is putting out his first solo song, and he wanted an interview style video, documentary style video, to just showcase who he is as an artist. So I feel like this lens would be perfect for it because it was a it was low budget, small scale, didn't require like a large crew. It was shot solo by me, and I primarily used my Sony FX6 and this Thypoch Simera-C lens for both the B-roll and the interview footage. So that was something very unique, just using this 35mm lens throughout the whole project. I was able to do so just because of the size of the project and what he was looking to do with the video footage. I didn't have to bring in all my gear, and it was a perfect way to try out this lens. And one of the things I noticed off rip was just how versatile this lens is. I mentioned earlier that this lens is very clinical, but it also has a lot of character. And I can only just show you the images so you can see, but it is not too sharp, but it also retains a lot of detail. And I feel like it just it's perfect, especially for Sony cameras. Another reason why I really love this lens, and of course a lot of this can be changed in post-production, but I feel like with Sony color science, you get a lot of like the green and magenta, and I feel like this lens balances it out. Like it brings more warmth into your images, which is very important, and it just makes the starting ground, when you start to color grade, it makes it easier because it just adds in that warmth. It just does something beautiful to the images. Well, something that I believe is beautiful to the images. So I use this lens all throughout that project, and I feel like it was beautiful. It was amazing. It was easy to use the follow focus and, you know, change the aperture and everything. I didn't put like a follow focus wheel or anything like that. I like to rack focus myself, like with my hand. And yeah, I feel like it was perfect and amazing for that project. The next project that I used this for was a gender reveal. So this was pretty interesting because I used this for a gender reveal where I had a client that was just looking for a video to put on social media. She was having her and husband were having another child, and I didn't have to make the video like extremely cinematic, but the one thing about me is that I'll take any project and I'll try to get the most out of it. So I decided that this was a perfect scenario to try out my Thypoch lenses in this scenario as well. We shot inside of her mom's house, and I used my lighting and everything, and this stopped. She also wanted the video in black and white, so that's why I made the video black and white, because that went with the theme and the look that she was going for. But if you guys can see just the roll off, right, it was so beautiful. I feel like when you start to use cinema glass, you really see the difference between something like this and like a photo glass, like the kind of lens that I'm using to film this YouTube video on. It's photo glass is great, like all of the Sony G Master lenses is great. It's great for corporate work. It's great when you really want something very sharp. But a lot of times when you look at your favorite movies and your favorite films, you don't leave away like, oh my God, the images were just so sharp. Those movies and films, a lot of times they're using vintage lenses, they're using cinema lenses, and all of these lenses have character, which some people would say are imperfections, but imperfections is what makes art beautiful, right? I feel like imperfections is what makes all of us beautiful, right? In life, we all have our different bumps and bruises and all these different things that make us unique as people, and it's the same thing with a lens. So I love the character that I was able to get within this lens. And then the last project that I also used this for was for it wasn't a music video, it was more of a visualizer for a song release with an artist, a local New Jersey artist. And I felt like this lens was amazing in this scenario because everything was shot in studio. And I feel like when using this in a studio environment, I was able to see how beautiful this lens is and also how clinical this lens could be. I was able to push and pull the colors and do whatever I wanted with the footage, and this lens was not a hindrance. It actually helped me out a bunch because it helped with the overall image and the look, just the softness, the roll off on the face, like just how beautiful this lens is. So all in all, I was able to use this over the span of 3 months on 3 different projects, and this has become a lens that I've fallen in love with. The reason why I haven't bought a whole kit or bought more is because I was debating between getting a lens like this and getting the Dizio Vespid Primes or the Nisi Athenas. And I just wanted to buy one lens and see if I liked it. And if I did, I would keep it. If not, I would just sell it and, you know, get another one. But I really like this lens. So as far as what's next for me, I'm definitely going to get, right now I have the 35mm. I'm gonna get the 21mm and the 75mm. And I feel like with those 3 focal lengths, I'm pretty much good when it comes to this lens. And then I'm going to eventually get another pair of cinema lenses for my Sony FX6. There's a lot of things that I've been looking at and thinking of. So if you guys have any suggestions, let me know what other lenses you think I should try out. At the end of the day, I love that when you use different lenses, you can get different character and you can get different images. So I love just lenses and trying out lenses and just seeing what they do to the overall image. So as far as like me looking for lenses, that's never gonna stop. But I definitely found a lens that I'm gonna have a kit of Thypoch Simera-C's. All right, now before I conclude this video, I wanna let you guys know one mistake that I made, right? one mistake I made, and if you guys are looking to get this lens, don't make the same mistake. It's not a deal breaker, but I got the E-mount version, which I am very much so regretting, because if you are going to get this lens, I would suggest that you get the M mount, just because the M mount version is way more adaptable and you can adapt it to so many different camera brands. Right now I'm shooting primarily Sony, but coming into the filmmaking space, I've shot Blackmagic, I've shot Canon, I've shot Sony, and I have no problem changing camera systems. I don't have loyalty to one camera system. Sony is just a camera system that I'm using right now because I've started out using them and I love what I'm getting. But the fact that this is an E-mount lens, if I ever get rid of my Sony cameras, I'm gonna have to get rid of this lens. So when I buy the rest of the set, I'm gonna make sure I get an M mount, so that if I do end up changing, the only thing that I have to replace is my 35mm. So that was one mistake I made. And then as far as my final initial thoughts, I feel like this is a lens for everybody. Whether you are a small creator and you're not even shooting projects for other people, but you're trying to do your own short films, you have a Sony FX30, a Sony FX3, you're using mirrorless cameras, I feel like this is perfect because of the size, the weight, the quality that you get for the size and the weight is honestly is the best on the market. This gives you high quality. Like, I've used a lot of other like budget cinema lenses, and yeah, they're nice, but like I used to have to do a lot post-production work to get it to look the way I wanted it to look. With this lens, right out of camera, I mean, right out of camera, the lens is already amazing. So I feel like the quality level of this lens is very top tier. And also, if you are someone who works on big projects and you're even using like a Sony Burano or a Red Raptor or whatever, I feel like this lens will be perfect for that, because there are times where you have to be nimble. There are times where you don't want a big giant lens, right? And I understand the whole weight thing and just like not having shaky footage, you kind of want weight sometimes, but sometimes you have your own stabilization systems and you want to prioritize your body, right? So just having something that's small, nimble, lightweight, I feel like this is something that everybody should have in their kit. And if you are in the market for cinema glass, there is a lot of amazing cinema glass out there. So I'm not saying that this lens is like my way or the highway, you need this, but if you're on the fence and you're thinking about getting this lens, trust me, I believe that you're going to be extremely happy, and Thypoch did an amazing job with this lens. But with that being said, that's all I got for y'all. Love y'all. Catch y'all in the next video. I'm out.